Hi, the other day I turned 67 and this is my 67th video on my YouTube channel, Mathematics Tricks. And when I told my grandsons that I'd turned 67, they were absolutely horrified. So they said to me, how are you going to live with being 67 for a whole year? They couldn't understand it. They couldn't get their heads around it. So I love playing with numbers. That's why I have this channel. And I decided I was going to play with 6, 7 and see what I could find out. And when I did, it was amazing. I just played with numbers. And I came out with information about a person that I'd never even known existed. So let's see what happened in my quest. Right, so we have this infamous 6, 7. What should I do with it first? Well, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the digits in 6, 7. So I'm going to add the 6 plus the 7, and that's going to give me 13. And now this is also very interesting because one of the reasons I like the number 6, 7 is because it's prime, and it's a rather large prime number. And now when I've added the two digits together, I've ended up with another prime number. So this is very interesting. Let's see what happens if I take that sum of the two digits, 13, and I square it. 13 squared, as we all know, is 169. So just as I added the digits over there, I'm going to add the digits in my answer now as well. So I'm going to do 1 plus 6 plus 9, which is going to give me 15, 16. So let's look at that answer 16. Is it prime? No, it's not. But it's a perfect square. And what we like to do with perfect square numbers is square root them. So let's see. The square root of 16 is 4. All right, so that was a little journey just by adding up the two digits of 6 and 7. Let's see what else we can do with it. Well, why not just take 67 and square it as well? There's no harm in that. So 67 squared is going to give me 4,489. And as you guessed it, I'm going to take those digits, all 4 of them, and I'm going to add them together. 4 plus 4 plus 8 is 9. That's 17, 21, 25. Right, let's look at the number that we've got. 25, not prime, no. Is it a perfect square? Yes, it is. So let's square root it. And that gives me 5. So this is already rather interesting because 6 and 7 are consecutive numbers coming one after the other. And now these two answers I've got just from playing around like this are also consecutive numbers. So what else should we do now? What else can we do with a 6 and a 7? We can multiply them together. And that gives me 42. So once again, I'm going to take my answer and I'm going to square it. And that is going to give me 1,764. Okay, let's not break the pattern. We're playing a game here. So we're going to add the digits. That gives me 10, 17, 18. Right, so let's look at 18. So far, very magical things have been happening. We had prime numbers, then we had perfect squares. Is 18 prime? No, it's not. Is it a perfect square? No, it's not. Is it a perfect cube? No, it's not. So, it's an even number, but I don't know what else to do with it. So I'm just going to leave that at the moment. The other thing I'm quite fascinated about is how far away from 100 is 67. And there my answer is 33. So squaring 33, I'm going to get 1,089. And you guessed it, we're not going to stop. We're going to add the digits, 1 plus 0 plus 8 plus 9. 9 and 8 is 17, plus 1 is 18. All right, so again, we've got an 18, not consecutive numbers, but now we've got the exact same number. And I can't really think of anything else to do. So perhaps we should go to our answers. We had an answer for that square. We had an answer for that square. And 42 squared. And 33 squared. There are 4 of them. Obviously, one of them has to be the largest. So I think what I'm going to do now, I'm just making up games here. I'm going to say take the largest one and I'm going to subtract all the other ones from it. So let's set that up as a calculation so that you can follow what's happening. Right, and you can all whip out your calculators to make sure that I'm not telling you stories, but the answer is 1,467. So after playing with 6, 7, with its individual digits, with itself as a number, doing all sorts of things, just playing games, I've ended up with a new number. And that number ends in 6, 7, exactly the same as the number that I started with. So when I look at this number, I don't see 1,467. I saw 1467. And 1467 for me is a date. Now, I never did well at history because I couldn't remember any dates. So, and that's very long ago, even longer than I go back. So I decided to Google it. And when I Googled it, I found out something amazing. And maybe this is why the Gen Alphas have been running around saying 6767, because maybe they didn't realize it. But 1467 was quite a significant date in where we've got to today with our technology. So listen to what happened in 1467. An Italian man called Leon Battista Alberti, and I'm sure my pronunciation isn't very good. He was an architect, but he was also a cryptographer. He was a mathematician, he was a painter, he was an artist, obviously a very multi-talented man. But in 1467, he made an invention, and he invented a polyalphabetic cipher. So let's go back in my childhood a little bit to understand what's going on here. When I was a child, and that was way before any of these screens and all the things that we have today, we used to run around, we used to climb trees, ride bicycles. We actually had a lot of fun. So best friends in those days would create a code by jumbling up the letters of the alphabet, and they would each keep a copy of that code. This is all sounding familiar, I'm sure. And then write notes to each other, coded notes to each other, which then each friend would decode using the code, and nobody else would know what you were writing about. So encryption goes back a very long way. In fact, when I was doing my research, it goes back thousands of years. But that's the way I used encryption as a child, on a piece of paper. So the coding that I was using is called monoalphabetic, because we simply used the letters of the alphabet, jumbling them up with the other letters of the alphabet. There were no other symbols involved. So what this man Alberti did was he designed a polyalphabetic cipher, which means that the code didn't just have alphabet letters in it, it had other symbols in. Initially, I'm sure it was numbers and alphabet letters. These days, we have so many symbols to choose from. And you people who are into coding and gaming and programming, you know very well what I'm talking about. You know much better what I'm talking about than what I know what I'm talking about. But this 1467 discovery laid the basis for so much of what we're doing today. And it was due to this man, Leon Battista Alberti, and his invention. So he has now become known as the father of Western cryptology. And what he put forward has made has been the basis for everything that we use in encryption today. So I think that's actually quite amazing. And just playing with 6-7 took me down to that discovery. So well done to that man, and I hope we use his invention in the right ways. I know very often encryption is used for devious purposes, but let's stick to using it for the right reasons. But before I stop, let's have a look at 1467 for a last time. That was the year that we're speaking about. So if I take the 1 and the 4 and I add them together, I now have not only 2 consecutive numbers, but 3 consecutive numbers. So we now have 5, 6, 7.